I don't think I've got an order of like who's been best for me or who's my favourite or that, because every manager I've played for I'm so grateful, because like you look at the start would be Ronny Deila, he gave him a debut, so how can you look past that? So everyone's, for me, all the managers I've played for are special for different reasons.
That's the one and only Kieran Tierney talking about Ronny Deila, talking about the managers that give him his chance in football. And you heard it live. You heard that he can't look past Ronny Deila. A lot of people have mixed feelings about Ronny Deila, and if you went to football at that time, it was one of the most interesting times to watch football, and it was probably the easiest time to get tickets for away games. There's another 23-year-old whose ex-manager has been suggesting that the player believes he could go on and play for Real Madrid. And coming up in this video also, we're going to talk about the fact that Celtic are going to knock back Rangers' request for 800 tickets for a game that's coming up in a couple of months' time. Anyway, back to the 23-year-old who reckons he can play for Real Madrid. Luis Palma's ex-manager, Paulo Hernandez, he's been speaking about Palma, and that's his agent actually. He's been speaking about Palma and a recent conversation with his old boss. Hernandez says, at the same way some players come to play in the Premier League, I think Luis is a good performance. He's going to make it in Europe. He's going to make Europe more interested in Honduran players. When asked if he believed that Palma could fulfill his dreams and play for Real Madrid, Hernandez continued, he will go as far as he wants. It's a really interesting one. I mean, he's just making his mark at Celtic. He has scored a couple of cracking goals. Do you think he will be able to go on and realistically play for Real Madrid? One player that's obviously playing in Spain just now is Kieran Tierney. But when you look at some of the players that Real Madrid have bought, but then again, Real Madrid are downsizing slightly with the type of players that they're buying. So it could be the fact that maybe he might do. You never know. You never know. Could Palma be good enough to play for the team that once held the Galacticos? He's a very talented winger. Celtic obviously bought him for 3.5 million. And can he play for Real Madrid? As long as he continues to improve, I think he will go on to bigger and better things, but maybe not Real Madrid standards. So tell me your thoughts in the comments. Talking about players that are playing at the highest point in their careers so far, obviously one that is playing for Celtic just now is going to get his first cap for Ireland. And Stephen Kenny's been talking to Pat Bonner about the one and only Liam Scales, and he reckoned that Liam Scales is doing really well. He says there's a great chance that he might get into the team. He's shown at Celtic he can play at that level, so there's no reason why he cannot play at Ireland for that level. Stephen Kenny was at the game against Lazio, and Pat Bonner says that he texted him after the game and says that Liam is doing absolutely great. There's no doubt in my mind that Liam Scales will hold his own in the Ireland team, says Pat Bonner. With fixtures against Greece and Gibraltar coming up, Scales is likely to get his first international cap. And he's going to play in the middle of a back three, which is really interesting. He's going to play in a back three. A lot of people have saying that Celtic should maybe try that, go back to playing a 3-5-2. What do you think? Do you think that Brendan Rodgers should change it, especially for the domestic league? Do you think that we should change it to a back three? Because let's face it, sometimes we're that far forward. It would be easy to change the formation, and it would be fantastic for Celtic to try and have two strikers to try and break down some of these stubborn defences that we come up against on a week-to-week basis. So tell me your thoughts on that. Should Celtic go with Scales in the middle of a back three or to the left of a back three, and then that would get rid of Taylor? Because a lot of people are saying that we need to get rid of Taylor, even though Taylor's been playing well, but Liam Scales can play in that position, so playing him on the left of a back three would be fantastic, and it could be an interesting formation, especially in the league. Right, let's get to the big news of the morning. Obviously, Celtic are poised to reject Rangers' request for 800 tickets for the next Glasgow derby. Celtic and the Rangers will face each other at Parkhead on the 30th of December. Once again, it looks like there'll be no away fans present. Celtic turned down the rivals' offer for a similar amount last month at Ibrox, and they won 1-0. And I think that they'll win the next game also. That's just my personal thoughts. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think a new manager can turn it around at Rangers? The Rangers. Celtic and Rangers have obviously been at loggerheads with regarding to tickets, and you have to remember that the real reason that Celtic were denied the whole Broomland ends is the fact that we were celebrating far too much and we were out singing their fans on an ongoing basis, and they didn't like that. So the final two derbies of last season were played in front of no away fans, and this is carried on to this season. Is it a good thing for the game? Tell me in the comments, because personally I think it's a bad thing for the game, and all these other clubs that are doing the exact same to Celtic and reducing the allocation, that is doing nothing for the asset that they were trying to sell for the TV. And when it comes to getting a new TV deal, it's, it could harm the TV deal going forward. Rangers are expected to be offered no tickets, and this will be the case. But Rangers have decided to cite SPFL Rule I-127, which states that home club must make provisions for the admission of a reasonable number of visiting supporters at every home league match. The Ibrox Chiefs have offered to work alongside Police Scotland to find a solution to provide additional stewards. They've even reportedly written to the SPFL, but they've not asked the league to intervene as yet. Peter Lawwell has been talking about this type of thing over the past couple of weeks, and he reckons that there should be a new vote and a new thing brought in to allow a certain number of away fans to every ground. UEFA currently require clubs to set aside 5% of their stadium to travelling fans. Should that now be implemented something similar in Scotland? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. And with the reduced allocation, I mean, it's getting harder and harder for Celtic supporters clubs to run buses to these away games. So this looks as like it's going to go on and on and on into the new year. And personally, I just think it's a game of bad press. It's just a game of bad press between the two clubs. And I think it is something that really needs to be sorted out. A lot of people are happy with the fact that there are no away fans come the Glasgow Derby. But for me, I think it does diminish the atmosphere a lot. The fact that you don't have the away fans to wind up. And when you're at Ibrox, you don't have the ability to wind up the home fans. And they'll say the exact same. So tell me your thoughts in the comments on that also. The fact is, since 2018, when Celtic used to get 7,000 tickets for the Rangers games, and then when you look at other allocations, we used to regularly get 3,000 tickets for most away grounds, except for Hearts, Hibs and Aberdeen. There's a lot of these grounds have capacities over 15,000. Finding the consensus amongst clubs is going to be difficult. The rule is that hand over 20% of tickets to away clubs seems unlikely, but I don't know, where do the clubs go from here? There are a lot of these grounds are saying that they're now looking after their own fans, but for me, it is diminishing the atmosphere that you get on the television. And let's face it, the Scottish football needs every single penny it can get. And having a really rubbish TV deal isn't helping the clubs or the game itself in Scotland. So, on that note, tell me what you think about it. Will the SPL vote? Will the SPFL vote the right way and allow? But you know what it's like. It's like turkeys voting for Christmas in Scotland. But on that note, try and have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.